Hi, family of God. Maybe one of my shortest exhortation. One of the most legitimate complaint or concern of people that do not abide by the life of faith is those that says that, you know what, as much as you're preaching the gospel and everything else, you need to be practical in this matter. And I think Sarah, in the effort of trying to have a child, decided to be practical by asking a servant to bear the child on behalf of her, which is a very honest way to live your life. You know, we are human, we have to look at things as they are, and that's how life should be lived. One of the catch of the life of faith is that faith is not based on emptiness. Faith is based on the promise. So the only time that you go for the spiritual and faith is when you have a promise from God. So Abraham had the right to wait because he received a revelation from God about the possibility for him to have a child that will come in his life. So the problem that we often have is not an absence of faith, but it's a faith based on nothing. If God has not given you a promise, there is nothing to hope for. If God has decided to go mute on you, you are in trouble because you see nothing, you hear nothing. As a result, you only have the physical world to depend on, and that's the very dangerous ground of life of Christian. That's why a proper Christian must see visions, a proper Christian must see dreams, a proper Christian must hear things from God that will make him understand that there is a promise. So in other words, you only go for faith over facts when a promise has been made available to you. Short of the promise, you do not have the right to make decision on your life and hoping that God will do. That's why many of our prayers are upsetting to God, because we pray for things that he has not promised. So basically one of our script of prayers are always wrong, because when you decide to pray over something, you need to pray over something that God has given you a promise about. And therefore you are pushing and praying for that. You're going fasting on that because you know that God has promised me this particular thing. You can go with every church, every pastor that you want to. If God has not promised you a child, you won't have a child. And that's the problem, because we will sit and say, I have faith. Faith in what? If God has not said anything on specific topic of life, you are walking life blind. That's why I've been inviting people to pray, to meditate, to start to develop a good vertical relationship with God in such a way that you spend time hearing and listening from him before you open your mouth and speak. Because when you want to pray effectively, not over things that are just in your minds that you want, but things that God has promised. May the Lord give you the ability to trust in the promises that he's given you. So anyone that is confident and sure that I've seen this about my life in the future, I heard God telling me clearly this is what is going to happen to me, you have the right to continue to all